Imagine this. A billionaire CEO, standing on the brink of losing his biggest client, doesn't even know that the person who'll save his empire isn't his lawyer, his executives, or his PR team. It's the night cleaner. That's right. Sometimes the person you overlook is the one holding the key to everything. But before I tell you how a cleaner's decision during one late-night shift changed the fate of a billion-dollar deal, make sure you hit that subscribe button and stick around until the end, because a twist in this story is one you'll never forget. It was nearly midnight inside the glimmering glass headquarters of Halverson Global, a tech empire known for swallowing up smaller companies and spitting out broken dreams. The CEO, Richard Halverson, was as ruthless as they came, sharp suit, sharper tongue, and a heart that seemed carved from ice. Every evening, when the last executive scurried out and the lights dimmed, the cleaners came in. One of them was Marcus, a tall, quiet black man in his 40s with a gentle way of moving. Marcus worked in silence, pushing his cart through echoing corridors. Most people barely noticed him. Richard never even remembered his name. But Marcus noticed everything. He noticed how the executives walked a little faster when Richard was near. He noticed the empty whiskey bottles tucked inside the CEO's waste bin. And he noticed the constant ringing of phones left unanswered on desks long after everyone had gone home. That night, Marcus was mopping the marble floor outside the executive suite when he heard it. Ring, ring. The sound came from Richard's private office. The desk phone blinked red, urgent. Marcus froze. Cleaners weren't supposed to touch anything in the CEO's office, let alone his phone. But the ringing wouldn't stop. Something about it felt different, like it wasn't just another missed call. He set his mop aside and stepped inside. Hello? Marcus's voice was hesitant, respectful. On the other end came rapid-fire French. A man's voice urgent, insistent. Marcus blinked. His pulse quickened. Few people knew this about him. But before life had beaten him down, Marcus had been a university student, a language enthusiast. He spoke French fluently. Bonsoir, Marcus replied carefully. Vous parlez avec le bureau de Monsieur Halverson. Good evening. You are speaking with Mr. Halverson's office. The line went silent for a beat. Then the voice softened. Enfin, at last. I have been trying to reach him all day. This is Monsieur Dubois from Paris. Tell him our deal is off. We cannot trust a company that does not answer its calls. Marcus's heart pounded. He knew that name. Everyone did. Dubois Industries was one of Halverson Global's biggest international clients. Without them, billions were at stake. Marcus swallowed hard. He had a choice. Hang up and pretend he never heard this, or step into a world that wasn't his. He took a deep breath. Monsieur Dubois, Marcus said smoothly, switching between French and English. There must be some misunderstanding. Mr. Halverson values this partnership greatly. Perhaps if I can help clarify matters, we can still move forward. Dubois paused. Then, slowly, he explained. For months, he had felt neglected, dismissed. Halverson's arrogance had nearly driven him away. Tonight's unanswered calls were the last straw. Marcus listened carefully, responding with empathy, weaving in reassurances. He shared perspectives he knew Richard never would: humility, respect, humanity. After nearly half an hour, Dubois's anger cooled. Who are you? He asked finally. You are not his assistant. Marcus hesitated. No, sir. I'm part of the team that keeps this office running smoothly after hours. But sometimes the right words matter more than the right title. Dubois chuckled softly. You may have saved your boss tonight. Tell him I will reconsider, but only if he treats this partnership with dignity. When the call ended, Marcus stood frozen in the silent office. He knew what he had just done could cost him his job, or worse. The next morning, Richard stormed into the building. His phone pressed his ear. Cancel the damage control meeting, he barked to his assistant. Dubois just called me personally. He's willing to meet again. Says someone in my office showed him the respect he deserved. Who the hell was it? His assistant shook her head. No one here spoke with him yesterday, sir. Richard frowned. He knew his team too well. None of them had the courage or the humility to pull that off. That's when he noticed Marcus in the hallway, quietly wiping down a glass panel. Hey, you! Richard snapped. What's your name again? Marcus, sir. Richard's eyes narrowed. You didn't happen to take a phone call last night, did you? Marcus froze. His mop handle squeaked under his tightening grip. Yes, sir. I did. The room went silent. Executives exchanged horrified looks. You answer my private line? Richard's voice was sharp, dangerous. Yes, sir, Marcus said evenly. And if I hadn't, you have lost Du Bois for good. The audacity of those words hung in the air. For the first time in years, Richard Halverson was speechless. That night, Richard sat alone in his penthouse, replaying the conversation in his head. He thought about the cleaner who had spoken fluent French, who had salvaged a deal he himself had nearly destroyed. And he thought about how little he knew about the man who scrubbed his floors. The next morning, Marcus was called into the CEO's office. His heart raced as he stepped inside, half expecting to be fired. Richard didn't look up from his desk at first. Du Bois told me what you said, he muttered. Said you reminded him that respect still exists in this company. He called you indispensable. Marcus stood silently. Finally, Richard looked up. His expression was unreadable. You saved me billions. Why are you cleaning floors here? Marcus's jaw tightened. He wanted to say, because people like you never gave me a chance. Instead, he simply replied, because it's honest work, and I have a family to feed. For a long moment, Richard just stared at him. Then, for the first time anyone could remember, the CEO extended his hand. From today, Richard said slowly, you're not just cleaning floors. You're coming into my office as a cultural advisor. I need someone who can see people, not just profits. Marcus blinked, stunned. He had walked into this building invisible, and now he was walking out with a seat at the table. Weeks later, Marcus found himself in Paris, sitting across from Monsieur Du Bois himself, not as a cleaner, not as a shadow in a room, but as a valued part of the negotiation team. And when Richard Halverson tried his usual arrogance, it was Marcus who leaned in, spoke with quiet authority, and reminded both men that real power isn't in titles or wealth, it's in respect. The deal closed. The company thrived. But more importantly, Richard changed. Slowly, reluctantly, he began to treat people differently. Not because of Marcus's language skills, but because Marcus had forced him to see what he had forgotten. Humanity. Sometimes the world tells us our value is in what we wear, the title we hold, or the office we sit in. But this story proves something else. Respect is the real currency. And never underestimate the person others overlook, because they might be the very one holding the key to your survival. Now, let me ask you this. If you were in Marcus's shoes, would you have answered that phone?